Maasai area actually covers both the northern bit of Tanzania and Kenya, and I was doing the research in the Tanzania side. But where did they actually originate from? They're actually mentioned in the King James Bible. There's a Greek philosopher that talks about them. So basically, they're a very, very long time ago. But the Maasai themselves, because they have the way they organise their population by what they call age steps, they can actually track back through memory of those age steps, which they name each generation, to 1665 as being in Tanzania. The Maasai people are cattle. They basically used to spend their pastures, they used to spend their time herding their cattle around, they would move around, they weren't actually settled. But increasingly, they are now settling. That's partly why I was doing this research, because in the process of settling, they're setting up a lot of subsistence farming. In 2005, when I was doing some research as part of my master's, I was working within these 6 settlements, sort of, I'll refer to them as villages, and some mapping I did from the 1980s through to 2005 in terms of the increase in agriculture. And what was really interesting was one of the photos I was discussing with the chief of our area. I was asking him, why is there no or very little agriculture in this patch here? Why is your forest so well maintained? And they protected the forest because they were realising that when they were cutting down the forest, which was stabilising the slopes of the mountain, they were ending up with a lot of gully erosion. I had a female translator and a male translator. Both are Maasai. Both are working at that time with collaborating non-governmental organisations in Arusha. Purchasing supplies. They don't have like a big Tesco or anything. It is these street markets along here, and I didn't know what we needed to purchase, and we didn't buy any meat, but this is how you buy meat in Arusha. I was very, very nervous. So this is the night before I go out into Maasailand.
Very apprehensive about what it's going to be like living with the Maasai, especially having seen it through the field this weekend.
So up until that point, I've been a real ostrich about it. I knew that they were sort of normally had spears and they sort of wore these sort of red cloths. And I just had not thought about it because I was actually so petrified about what it would be like in reality. And so when I arrived in Maasailand, the first thing I had to do was go to the chief of our carrier and ask for his permission to be able to do the research. And I have no photos, nothing from the first meeting. It was very tense. The Maasai often have a lot of research where people go away and research them and then don't give them any feedback or anything early. So they are very, very apprehensive about it, which is fair enough. So at the end of the discussion, he had agreed that I could do the research, and then he offered me tea, and I've been told by my translators, you will get offered tea in places. This is a sort of welcoming thing, and you will need to drink some of the tea. It's a milky tea, and it normally has sort of cinnamon spices in it. It's actually really lovely. So I was given this tea, and I tasted it, and I said to my translator, like I said, very quiet because the chief was watching me, and I didn't know how much English he understood as well. Like, this doesn't taste very nice. Do I have to drink it? And he said, yes, you do. And I did drink it, and I got to the end of it, and the chief looked at me, and it was the first time he smiled, and I was actually so relieved. And then he sort of spoke in Ma, and I could only understand what he was saying, he was smiling. And then I asked the guy, what was he saying? And he said, the chief welcomed you, he wanted to let you know he put some worming roots in there so that you wouldn't get worms whilst you were staying with us. And I was sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, what's that going to do with my malaria pills and everything else? And I was like, okay, this is a whole different way of life, and I've just got to relax and get into it. And I did from that point. So, Maasai children, the Maasai love their children first, their cattle second. When the children are young, up until the age of 2, they're just basically playing around the place. Beyond the age of 2, their roles and responsibilities start to come into place. So the girls watch their mums and help out around keeping the home, keeping the livestock areas when they have the livestock at night, cleaning them out. And the boys start to learn the art of looking after the cattle and taking them out to find pastures and water. Marital age in the Maasai is about 15 to 18, and it's a hard life for women. in Maasailand. Older women are closer to the Maasai gods, so they spend a lot of time praying for water, praying for health. These are some Maasai women who were running a cooperative. The men make the money from selling the cattle, and quite a lot now go and have jobs in town as well. But the women are dependent on any cash income that comes from the men, other than if they do something like this where they can then sell their jewellery. But the women are expected to run the household, somehow find the money for school fees, and when they need to actually purchase things. And the women explain about that. The Maasai are also quite well known. There's a lot of pictures of their jewellery, and when they make these necklaces, the actual colours have different meanings, which I'll just put up there to give you an idea. The neck collars that you can see the young girl in, they wear that for a special occasion. I'll come to that and use that in dancing. But for the most part, it's not like us where we can have special occasions when they're wearing all the time. The boys have a really interesting life. They one of the things I noticed is that a lot of them are missing their front 2 teeth, and then you see it as they're growing up. And I asked my translators, why is that? And he said partly it's all sort of the ceremonies that they do, but the other reason is if they get tetanus and get with lockjaw, it means that you can force feed and clear their sort of air passages. So I was very, very lucky when I was there to be invited at the end of my fieldwork a warrior ceremony. Sort of every, I think it's 7 to 8 years, the men go through a period of time where they're warriors. This manietta was the period that was marking the time at which they would actually change from junior to senior warrior. I had found an email that I'd written to Mum at the time, just after I got invited to the ceremony. I thought I'd just read it out so I can give you an idea. This is they're called their ATEC called corianders. All the corianders are meant to quit work and come and go to the manietta. There are so many warriors, they are having to come to the manietta in shifts. The different villagers come in different weeks. So we arrived at what looked like a massive boma. It was in the middle of a plain. The security guy ushered us to the entrance of the boma, where towards us came a legion of Maasai warriors. Leading them were 3 shield bearers with long braids and oak on the face. They were weaving up and down, weaving the shields around and occasionally touching the ground. At the same time, they were singing these what sounded like mild curses and threats, and then singing very high pitched. And behind them were a big group of warriors, all marching with their spears held high, and they made this funny noise, low vibrations. I can't even do it, but it was like But if you've got hundreds and hundreds of men making that noise, it is extremely formidable, especially when they've got all their spears and their axes. I can understand now why Maasai warriors have such a fearsome reputation, and that's when they're not even at war. They then entered the boma and made a circle where they started dancing with the 3 shield bearers in the middle, jumping very high. Then they separated into a semicircle, and the women appeared dressed in blue cloth, and then they were wearing basically these collars, which I showed you in the photo, and then they have several layers, and they move towards the men dancing. They do a kind of movement like that, and then these things sort of rattle and it makes a noise. It's quite sort of phenomenal. Anyway, I was invited to dance with, and apparently I did quite a good job. I thought I was appalling. So that was my experience at the Manietta, and these aren't my photos. I had to film off another website, so I wasn't allowed to take pictures, but these are the shield bearers, and then this is what it looks like. All these warriors are all like this. It is quite day to day, pretty much in Maasailand where I was, that's what it looks like. This is village life in central Alcaria, and the women do everything to run households, and that includes walking miles and miles to find firewood, water, etc. And donkeys have a bit of a hard time in Maasailand. They're sort of used to carrying things around. There is our vehicle, which always causes commotion at some of the Maasai warriors need to check it out and see what's going on. And that's one of their cows. Their cows don't look like our cows. I'm used to breeding cows. So I sort of men sort of hanging out these huts. Well, I found out why. And I was sitting there, and they said, "Oh, be careful where you move." And I'm so unobservant, so people show you things. And there were the African bees that need to live there. So I'm thinking, why have they got bees in here? The reason they have bees is they make their alcohol from the honey. It's honey, something like aloe vera tips that are slightly burnt or something, and water, and then it kind of ferments. Part of the reason they started cultivating is because they saw others cultivate.
This is originated from Italian. There were people who were settlers, The masters were aware of cultivation because of Italian people.
the gully erosion I was talking about. So their roads are pretty impassable. You have to avoid the roads because of that kind of erosion. You can't even walk on them. It's really difficult. But this is a pretty typical scene getting towards sunset. It's absolutely beautiful there. And this is the method they'll be herding their cows now back from having found water back to their bomas. And when I'm talking about a boma, this is a boma, which there's a kind of fence around the outside. Basically you have the huts around in the enclosure, but around the castle, which is where wives, co-wives and families live. And this is just to show you, this is the crowd it's the crowd in the middle where the castle is at.
Cycles, they're just coming back home in the evening. They went to take some grasses, so they are going back home for taking. They went home in order to get milking, and the children get some milk to drink. Young boys who are taking care of their cows of Maasai. He had a spear, and he's glad that he's coming back home.
One of the things you might have seen or might not have seen when the young boys were walking is their footwear is made from car tyres. It's ingenious way of reusing old car tyres. I just wanted to show you, these are the cows know their way home, so this is when they're just getting into the boma.
These are Maasai cows, they come from grazing evening. Yeah, they know that. Yeah, yes, you look them because they interact.
So this is the family I stayed with. These are the huts that people live in, and this is inside the boma. You can see that they hang this is the maid, they hang that up out the way. They have a fire in the middle of the boma, and then sort of against the walls are these little alcoves. That one is obviously using storage, but that's where they sleep at night. So that there are some modern bomas starting to pop up with corrugated roofs. They do have a lot of rainwater collection as well, because basically once their reservoirs run out of water, they have nothing. If they don't have water, they can't feed and keep their cattle going, and they absolutely rely on, even though they're settled and they now got subsistence agriculture, they really rely on their cattle. And look on our hands. So this is sacrifice, and it was really interesting because the leaves that the cow is placed on when I rub them together, it smells of antiseptic.
There's no cutting room today, so they are arranging some meat to, there's men meat and women meat. So they're preparing this guy. This kind of brands they use normally to slaughter, to put on the ground, then after they lay down on it.
These are two Maasai women really enjoying eating meat as benefits, a special occasion. It's just funny day. We were going back to town to get new supplies, and quite a few people wanted to hitch a lift with us. And one of them was quite an old Maasai man, and he decided to go to the snake park. So excited to go because it was the first time he saw Nile's crocodile. There was a crocodile there. You can see there's this dead one on the hanging up the ceiling. And he said his grandfather got eaten by a crocodile, and he'd never seen a crocodile before. So now he knew what they looked like. Maybe that one was the one that ate his grandfather. Did the research over a period of about 6 weeks with an interruption in between to go and get supplies and back again. Process the data so that I could come back and feed that information to the master. The elders from the villages, the 6 villages came, we presented back the general findings, and then everyone had Coca-Cola or plans or whatever. And I give that to them and give them copies of the report. And I'm really, really glad I did, because every copy of my thesis that I sent to them and to the NGOs got returned